today.
Derek, follow me!
Living Waters presents On the Box.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of On the Box. It is Monday.
I heard a rumor that you grow a beard every night. Is that true?
I didn't shave. I didn't shave this morning.
Okay, so it's not true.
I've been shaving since I was 12, so it's just getting boring.
Yes,
You know,
I can
and so
imagine
I've been
that.
like shaving every other day, and we're so far away from the camera that they really
Yes, they
really
can't tell. Me
Yeah,
neither.
yeah.
I got another question for someone. Chad, what did you have for breakfast?
I ate 4 dogs for breakfast.
Four dogs?
What breed?
Bury that puppy.
Jalapeno and cheese in the center.
Four hot dogs
That's
for breakfast.
key.
And tell me-
dogs in what sense? In the sense I mean 4 hot dogs.
And why wasn't it 5?
Because they only had 4 on the roller today. If you ever go to the gas station, you know, they got the hot dogs and it's on the little roller and the thing's like squeaking like
Yeah, they were cleaned in 1978.
That
Yeah.
that was a squeaking of those dogs who didn't want to be eaten. That's what it was.
Yeah, well,
You would have eaten 5?
yeah, I usually
Yeah,
do
5
5
a
if
day.
they got them.
You are what you
Five
eat, you know.
I'm a dog.
Dog.
What's up, dog?
What's up, dog?
So if we, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
need to get some tiger's blood in me, like, you know, like Sheen. A winner.
All right. Speaking of hot dogs, today's giveaway, this isn't even going to work, is The Big Bang biblical? And 99 other questions by John Morris, courtesy of Master Books, a division of New Leaf Publications. If you would like to win one of 3 copies that we're going to give away today, please email us at onthebox@livingwaters.com. onthebox@livingwaters.com.
And make sure you put your state so that Chad can't mention it.
Right. What kind of state you're in? Happy? No. Full name, full address. My jokes are just
Interesting.
dying today. They're just dogs.
That's it.
They're just dogs.
Yeah.
Full name, full address. Please only enter once unless your last name is Hathaway. Then you can enter 14 times because they have
That's
14 people in their family.
because that's the
And
Hathaway.
Georgia won on Friday, which was neat.
Oh,
to send her-
good.
Got to send her out a book. Also,
I
send-
thought when you said Georgia won, that was some football game, and I didn't know anything about it. And I had to just move with the flow and say, yeah, Georgia won.
Georgia
That's
beat
great.
Georgia State. Yeah,
That's
no,
great.
no.
But that is the Hathaway, so
That is
that's the way we
Hathaways.
do it.
That's right. Yes. Send us your emails to onthebox@livingwaters.com. Comments, questions. Keep the questions coming. That helps fuel the show. We do want some more of the videos. Please don't let the only transition episode we have be that of a moose. We would like more videos that would give us an opportunity to transition from the natural to the spiritual.
More mooses. Yep, whatever.
More mooses. More mooses, please. Our blog, onthebox.us. Hang with us at onthebox.us. We're constantly putting stuff up there. Ray's posting every week. Chad's posting 7 or 8 times a day. And
I bet you have more posts on there than anyone
I
else,
don't think
Tony.
so now. You know what?
If you look at the total count.
I've been posting on 2 other blogs, which will remain nameless at this point. But I've been doing a lot of writing on those blogs, and so I've kind of been remiss on my On the Box blogging. So I'll have to get back to that.
You need to
Maybe
get
I'll-
motivated by the people.
motivated
They
by
miss
the
you.
peeps.
You know, speak up if you miss Tony in the chat room.
Okay.
We'll give him some
Is
words
my
of
wife in
encouragement.
there? She'll speak up. But
Your wife's the one that's supposed to sort of like, you know, level things out. So my wife does. She brings me back to reality.
oh,
you know.
Maria is definitely my reality check. No
Yeah.
doubt about it. We're going to talk about wives a little bit later in the
Are
program.
we?
And
This is
yes,
exciting.
In a very positive way. Yeah, you're looking at your notes now. Yeah.
I just on the fly, you know.
Yeah, we're a little scattered at the moment. We just got back from another brief outing at Cerritos College. Mike Stockwell went out with us, which was a great blessing, and getting more footage for the show, for season 5, for your Hitler documentary. I did have one guy today, 66-year-old student, very nice man. He said he wouldn't bulldoze the Jews in the little moral dilemma that we're giving them. And then I transitioned to abortion, and he likened a woman to the driver of the bulldozer and said that decision's hers. Even though he personally was against abortion, it was
Wow.
certainly a woman's right to choose to kill her baby.
It really shows that human nature needs the fear of God to make correct moral decisions. Let's go to Chad.
Well, I was thinking for context sake, maybe we can give the folks out there the scenario, because I don't think they know what we know. The
Do we wanna
scenario
do
that
that,
we
Ray?
were
Yeah,
giving
we could
them.
do that.
We can do that? Okay.
Yeah, we've
'Cause
been.
as those words were coming out of my mouth, I'm thinking, does Ray even want me to talk about this?
Well, we have, haven't we? Yes. So let's.
Oh, well.
Let's do it. The video is called Hitler's Religion, and it goes hand in hand with a book that's coming out, published by WorldNet Daily, coming out I think in June, called Hitler, God, and the Bible. And we give people scenarios. And one scenario, this really happened in the Second World War. We say to people, there's a German officer with a gun pointed at you. He wants you to get in a bulldozer and drive it forward. In front of the bulldozer is a pit with 300 Jews in it. They've just been shot, men, women, and children. Some of them are still alive. He wants you to bury them alive. If you don't do what he says, he's going to shoot you for sure and do it himself. Would you drive it forward? And we've got quite a few people saying, yeah, I'd do that. I wouldn't die for strangers. Other people would say things like, I could never take a human life. I'd never do that. How do you feel about abortion? It's a woman's right.
Yeah.
And so we take them through the scenario of what partial birth abortion is, what saline abortion is, and we've had people on camera change their minds about abortion. So one guy this morning walked off as I described abortion to him in detail. He just says, I'm out of here, and just walked off. He couldn't handle it. It was too hot.
And someone else walked off when you posed this
scenario. It was
scenario
really
to
weird.
him.
It was a professor, and I just said, so would you drive the bulldozer forward? And he says, this interview is over. And he just stomped off. And he must have been burying people in his backyard or something. It was, most people say, oh, that's terrible, I could never do that. But he just stomped off.
He's probably
Very
burying
strange.
puppies, too.
He's probably been having dogs for breakfast. You never know.
Yeah. All right, hey, we're going to start by reviewing our weekend. What kind of grade would you give Huntington Beach Saturday, right?
C.
A C?
Yeah, well, I was out
Okay.
filming for 90% of the time, and
Ah.
I couldn't pull in a crowd, which happens occasionally.
Yeah.
So I'd give it a C, but did some good things happen while I was away?
Well,
Chad.
they did.
Well, if you remember, Ray, I was camera number 2 when you were away from Open Air filming you on your interviews. But I thought you had a pretty interesting encounter that we can't share with the folks out there today.
Oh,
but they'll
yes.
find out about it probably in that documentary.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that was a
Yep.
good one.
And another fellow that we interviewed, you remember the guy from, it was in Hawaiian Gardens. Sounds like a nice place. It's pretty
No.
close here. but it's a
Hawaiian
rough
Gardens?
area.
Shouldn't
And the
have said
guy
that.
had gotten shot by a shotgun like 3 or 4 times. He pulled up his shirt, showed us all the spots where I think it was some bird shot. You know, that's the only reason why he lived.
We lost one of our deputies in Hawaiian Gardens. One of our deputies was murdered down there. So.
Yeah, it was the last interview we did. Chad, you just stopped him, didn't you? He says, hey, what about this guy? So we stopped him. He's a big man, and it was a normal interview until we got to the point where I said, you could die or something like that at any time. And he says, look at this. And he pulls up his shirt, and there's a scar about that big. And then he pulls around here, and there's all holes in his side, and there's holes across his back, and he'd been shot. So talked about the fact that God had preserved him, and perhaps for this moment.
Yeah, he looked a little shocked, you know, that we happened to be having this conversation with him. And at the same time, he was a little bit hardened, you know, so.
Oh, and
Just
this
plant that
morning,
seed.
I mentioned about we witnessed to a guy on camera and shared the gospel with him, and he said, I've been thinking about this sort of thing because I'm actually acting as Jesus in a play at the school here. So we said, well, do you want to study the part? So study the life of Jesus through the Gospel of John so you get the right Jesus and so you know what you're talking about. So it was interesting.
Yeah. We're going to come back to Huntington Beach in a second. We're going to have a brief clip that we're going to chalk talk. Several of you responded saying, yeah, we like the chalk talk you did last week and we want more of that. So we're going to give as much of that to you as we can. I had a neat opportunity this weekend to share the gospel, and it was at the memorial service of a man at our church. I wasn't officiating, but when it came time to, open up the microphone for people to come up, I got to share the law and the gospel, and it was.
Now, how did you handle that in such a sensitive atmosphere?
Lowered my voice.
You did?
No, I mean that's one of the things. I
Serious.
try not to talk like a deputy, but
Mhm.
there was.
Stay where you are, everybody.
That's right. There were well over 200 people there.
Wow.
George Sucano, the member of our church who passed away, he was loved by a lot of people in the church and outside the church. And no question as to his faith in Christ. He loved the Lord and suffered greatly for as long as I knew him, and even longer, probably close to 20 years. He suffered with various medical issues, had both kidneys removed,
Wow.
had one, received a donor kidney. That one failed, heart trouble, other things. And through it all, the joy of the Lord was his strength. He was just a really, Really
So
neat
this
guy.
is a church atmosphere you're in. It wasn't a secular atmosphere.
Well, actually, that's the interesting thing. It wasn't a secular atmosphere. It was in a mortuary, you know, which, you know, so it wasn't, the memorial service wasn't in our church. Not sure why that decision was made, but I mean, that's up to the family. But there were a number of unbelievers there, and probably half of the group was unsaved and half the group was saved, I would guess. And so I walked up and I shared a little bit of, you know, what George meant to me and how I knew George, and transitioned into a gospel presentation by saying, you know, if George could tell us anything right now, it'd be don't miss heaven.
Yeah.
And use that to share the law and the gospel.
Well, that's
And
good.
So that was a neat opportunity, and I wrote a letter to the editor that was posted.
I got a friend, his name's Richard Gunther. He's one of my graphic artists, done cartoons for me for about 35 years, and he's been writing letters to the editor. I think he's written thousands over the years.
Really?
And into a secular newspaper, and he's become quite a kind of a letters to the editor celebrity down under. So it's a wonderful, wonderful way to reach out with the gospel.
It is. Yeah. If you know, something is going on in the local paper, there's a commentary or something, and you can see an opportunity you could see the opportunity to share the gospel in that. You know, a lot of newspapers will print stuff like that because they want to be provocative and get a response. So,
I just saw something I've never seen in my life.
yeah, Tony, talk a little louder.
Yeah, it's what?
I don't know.
So we get signs held up to us saying what we need to do. I got to talk a little louder, or Tony, and so the sign said, "Tony, talk a little louder."
Right. Maybe I'm mumbling today. Maybe am I? Yeah. Ron says I'm mumbling. Well, I'm going to practice my big boy voice off air while we move to this Chalk Talk. Let's go back to Huntington Beach. We want to share you a clip from a sea day, but it's was actually a really good clip. Chad handled particular objection pretty common very well. And so we'll talk a little bit about it. Let's look at that clip. Mumble, 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 mumble.
Jesus Christ, just like we got buddies that sacrificed their lives overseas, Jesus Christ was the ultimate sacrifice.
So why does that happen? Look at the world today. Look how bad the world is. Look what's going on overseas. Look what's going on in our country.
Trust me, I know.
Like, it should be happening today, if you ask me.
You gotta watch on now. It's 2:04 right now, all right? What would happen if at 2:05, God eradicated all the evil out of the world?
What happened?
Would you still be here?
A lot of people would be here.
A lot of people wouldn't be here. So praise God that he hasn't done it yet. There is coming a day, he says, where he's going to do that. All the evil in the world is going to be going to that lake of fire. I'm so happy that March 14th, 4 years ago, he didn't do it before then, and he's hanging on. He's going to do it. But in the meantime, he's leaving opportunity for a person like you, a person like, you know, the other people out here, and like me in the past, to get on the right side. So he is going to do it in his perfect timing. You don't want that time to come when you're on the wrong side.
Now, there's not a lot to say about that
Yes,
clip.
there is.
A lot of it's self-explanatory. Okay, Ray, go right ahead.
What's today's date?
Today's date is March 7th, 2011.
So in 7 days, it's Chad's birthday, March 14th.
Well, I think he's talking about his spiritual birthday.
That's what I'm talking about. The
Oh,
other one,
okay.
the other one doesn't matter.
Now, okay, now
The other one does not matter.
Can
No.
you settle? Yeah, can you settle this controversy though, Chad? Everybody is wishing you a happy birthday on Facebook, but your birthday's not till next month, right?
It was yesterday.
It was.
Yeah.
That's
Your
his natural
actual
birthday.
birthday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one that doesn't matter.
Now,
Yeah,
see,
the
in
one
the
that doesn't
office,
matter.
in the office on Friday, you said it was April.
It was like a joke.
Okay, well, all right.
I
well,
don't like the whole attention for it. and
So
all
what did
that,
you do for your
know.
birthday?
I went to a friend's wedding.
And what
I
did
had
you-
my cake there.
And what did you? That's funny.
It was the best
So,
cake I've
Chad,
ever had for my birthday.
and what did you eat at the wedding? Everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything they put in front of me. I mean, there's even a candy bar. So
Okay, so what else did you do for your birthday? What did Aubrey get you for your birthday?
well, she got me a video game that I play over at her brother's house a lot.
Oh, that's
it has a gun. It's a fake gun. It's shaped very much like an M4. Has an adjustable
Oh.
stock, and you could sight it in. So you know, I'm shooting deer and tigers that were jumping at me and bears. You know, got to get the headshot. Winner. It was a good time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Aubrey knows
But
her man.
yeah, but that's what David used to do in prayer, just let out his anger. And in real life, he's just a sweet guy, and that's what Chad's like. He shoots all the stuff on a video game.
I would
in real
never
life,
do that
he's-
in real life.
No, he's really sweet.
Or would I?
Well,
Or
we're going to
have
talk
I?
a little bit about that too, coming up from our questions from the mailbag. All right, so
Are we?
Chad, do you have anything to say about that clip we just showed?
It's definitely something you folks should learn because it's a great little tactic. If somebody asks you, why doesn't God destroy all the evil in the world? It's just a real quick answer on the street. You know, ask them if they got a watch. If they got a watch, ask them, what time is it? And if they don't have a watch, you just go ahead and let them know what time it is. If it's 2:04, where will you be at 2:05? It brings it back to a sort of personal situation because they want to get it off themselves. That gentleman, he wanted to start talking about what was going on overseas. He was in the military, and I shared with him a little bit about my background. He wanted to get impersonal about it, so I was able to bring it back to a personal thing where, where would you be in the next minute if God were to destroy all the evil in the world? And the whole point is, not only would he not be here anymore, but a lot of people wouldn't be here anymore. And my whole point was, I'm glad he hasn't done that yet. Thanks be to God that he hasn't done it yet, because when he does, that's it. That's Judgment Day. So in the meantime, God's long-suffering, and he has patience, and he's afforded this gentleman the opportunity, as long as he has a breathing moment still, to repent of his sin and put his faith and trust in the Lord. So that's just kind of a quick way to get personal again and get back to the gospel.
Yeah, Ray, you often tell people when they seem to dislike every sin other than their own, that they bring God's standard down very low. They have a very low moral threshold, and this clip is, like Chad said, is a good way to bring it back to them, make it personal, because people want if God exists, is typically the way it starts. They wonder why he hasn't eradicated the world from evil, but they never look at themselves as being part of that. Everyone else or others are evil, but they're okay, and so that's a great way to bring it back around.
Yeah, Proverbs says, every man is pure in his own
What was the name of
eyes.
that scripture?
Proverbs
Oh,
says,
yeah, that one.
Every man is pure in his own eyes, and it's true.
Proverbs 16:2.
That's it. That's
Memorize
it.
it last
Yeah,
night.
Exactly
that's
what he
it.
said.
Proverbs 16:2.
Clearly.
And all you have to do is do marriage counseling to realize that's true. The husband is always the perfect one, wife's at fault. The wife's always the perfect one, the husband's at fault. Get them together and they just scrap. And so you got to turn the mirror on both of them so they can see themselves in truth.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the mailbag. This first one, this is actually out of the chat room, an old question out of the chat room. Someone goes by the handle Saved by Grace Faith, kind of long, asked, can Christians serve
Should have alone there, faith alone.
It should be Faith Alone, but I can't create their handles for them.
Yeah.
So Saved by Grace Faith, you need to add alone onto your tag. Can Christians serve in the military or law enforcement when there is the real possibility that Christians may have to take another human life? Chad and I have a definitive answer on that. What do you think, Ray?
I don't know. I'm just thanking God that I've never been put in that position. And I have been asked at a university when I was preaching once, if someone was attacking you or your wife with a knife, would you shoot them? And I said, yeah, I'd start at their foot, but you say you got to go for the midriff straight away. But I would. I'd start at their foot, move up, and hit the knee, and see if they get the message. I'm not excited about them attacking my wife.
Yeah, no, we're trained to stop the threat, and that's typically not a shot in the knee.
No.
Yeah, but my answer to that question, having served in law enforcement for 20 years, is that it's a matter of conscience. Certainly, I believe Christians can serve in the military and law enforcement, and I thank God that they do. I've counseled a number of officers over the years who came to faith in Christ after getting on the job, and that was their big moral question. I know that the Bible says somewhere that we should not kill. Is it okay for me to do this job when I may have to take someone's life? Well, biblically speaking, yes. The commandment is not to murder. And Romans 13 makes it very clear that those who bear the sword do not bear it for nothing. If you're doing what is right, if you're living a law-abiding life, you shouldn't have anything to fear. If you're out there breaking the law, you should fear the sword of the government. And those who serve in the military and law enforcement
Bring the sword down.
Carry that sword. And there are some or other officers who said, I don't think I can do that. Well, you need to get out of this business. You're a danger to yourself and a danger to others. It doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't make you less of a Christian. But if your conscience is such that you don't think you can take another life under any circumstance, then you need to put yourself in a position where you wouldn't have to do that. Don't judge those who are out there fighting that kind of fight. And those who are out there fighting it shouldn't judge those who think on moral grounds, conscience grounds, that they can't take a life. Chad, what do you think?
That's a good point. Matter of conscience. If the question is, can you be a Christian and serve in the military? Well, I would say yes.
Yes.
I became a Christian halfway through my time in the military. I went over to Iraq as a Christian, shot guns over there as a Christian, and it wasn't a video game. I really like Ravi Zacharias, and I'm going to paraphrase Ravi Zacharias here, but his whole argument for a just war. And he says he takes it from the simple and then moves it on into the complex. And the simpler would be if I invited you over to my house to look after my children. Me and my wife are going to go out and have a meal together, and you're going to be protecting my children. And somebody tries to break into that house with intentions of overtaking you to harm those children. Now you have a dilemma here. You're going to have to physically overcome this person, but will you have to take their life? Where you have this sort of dilemma, you always want to go with the lesser of the two evils. You want to do everything you can to preserve life. But if it's required of you, if you have to take this person's life to stop them because they have intentions of taking your life, what will you do? Will you just step aside and let them have their way with the children? I think that would be the greater evil. No, you'll do what you have to do to stop this person. Now, if you look overseas, what we have going on is we have children being indoctrinated from a very young age in madrasas, and they're being indoctrinated with world domination and hate, and they look at Israel as being a little Satan, they look at America as being the big Satan. And when a simple slap on the wrist doesn't do it, and you go over there, and they have intentions of not only coming over here, but of taking the lives. I've literally been shot at and had my guys being shot at, they had intentions of taking our lives. So you do what you have to do in order to stop the violence. If we just sit back and do nothing, they will come over here and they'll harm us. So you want to preserve life, and what you don't do is you don't extrapolate that. Back home, you don't then go out in the neighborhood and start hitting guys over the head who are potential threats anytime. And same thing with overseas. We never retain the land that we've conquered. We give it back. And we always aim at the preserving life. Go with the lesser, but if you have to, if you absolutely must, then you do what you got to do.
Okay. All right. Ray, you have more?
No.
No. Okay. All right. I want to give us a little time to get into the chat room, so I'm going to hop over a question. This one's from Meg, from the mailbag. Ray, does Sue open air preach?
I just got this one here and all worked out.
Do you want to do?
Yeah, just like it's
okay,
a little bit about.
All right, these are both from Meg. Here's one from Meg as well. Often you guys advise to do more quote-unquote friendship evangelism techniques with friends and family, but your books and training videos seem to convey the notion to go to them first because we care about them more. Which is best? How do you repair a damaged relationship from your sharing the gospel with friends and family? Didn't Jesus preach that he came to bring division and that between friends and family because of his name's sake?
Well, it's a big question, but
Yeah.
the first thing is to realize that with a family, we plant the seed and then water it through good works, just lots of good works. And then this is the hardest thing to do, leave it up to God to bring the increase. We tend to want to, because we love our loved ones so much, to get in there and interfere and try to do the work that God does to bring understanding and bring life to the words that we've planted in their heart. The other part of the question, what was it?
Which is best? How do you repair damage already done to a relationship?
She's asked the right person. I did terrible damage as a new Christian.
I did too.
Zeal without knowledge, and it's just taken years and years to repair it. So just through prayer, I guess. Perseverance, prayer, and yeah.
So does Sue open air preach?
No, but I'd like her to. I'd like to have a little pink ladder next to my little blue ladder. But she gives out tracts, and I realize that not everybody is called to open air preach. Some people are quieter and sweeter.
Yeah.
They're not loud-mouthed people like we are. But I'd love everyone to open air preach, but maybe one day. I know that Scotty's wife, Carol, said to Scotty and I, she will open air preach the day that Sue does. That's my wife, thinking she's safe. So if I can get Sue to open air preach, then Carol will get up there with her.
Yeah, Maria's never open air preached. I too would love to see that moment when she gets up on the box and opens her mouth. But Maria's very, very quiet. She's very comfortable behind the scenes. She will hand out tracts and is very supportive of me being out there, and will go out with me from time to time. But our personalities are much different. And I made the mistake early on when the light bulb went on for me for biblical evangelism, that I had an expectation of Maria that she would be out there doing the same thing I was doing, and I hurt her by doing that. I was taking her loving and caring support behind the scenes for granted, because I had higher expectations for her than maybe the Lord did, or different expectations, I should say. And over time, I learned my lesson, asked her forgiveness for that, and I just relish the support she gives me now.
Right.
Chad, been married now for about, 6 months?
Coming up.
Coming up?
Yeah. She's my favorite person to go street witnessing with.
Yeah?
Yeah, really enjoy it.
Does she
Like
open air
having her next
preach?
to me.
Is she ever going to get on the box? you
No,
think?
not open air, and I wouldn't expect her to try and push her into something like that.
Yeah.
Would you like her to?
Oh, you know what? Honestly, here's the thing with me. If I saw a guy saying mean things to my wife, boy, I wouldn't be able to contain myself. So I honestly would be a little freaked out with the situation, you know?
Yeah, I
That'd
remember
be a
seeing.
real test.
I remember seeing you when someone was saying nasty things to your mum in the crowd, and it
Yeah.
was
Mistake.
like, I thought, boy,
Mistake.
Chad's going to explode, but you handled it well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the toughest test for me always. You know, when somebody starts picking on somebody I care about, like you, Ray, or someone trying to pull the box out from Greg Krause one time. That's always when I feel like I'm getting loose here. You know, I could take getting spit on, somebody pushing me, and I'll refrain. But it's when there's somebody that I care about, like a family member or a friend. That's where I start getting worried for that person doing the harm.
Boy, you're right there. I never thought of that. If anyone heckled my wife and got angry at them and called her a name, I'd just want to go and hit them in the knee or something.
Yeah.
In the knee?
Well, that's where I'd reach up to, probably.
All right, hey, we're actually getting close to being out of time. Let's announce who the winners are and see if we can get at least one question
Sure
out of the
thing.
chat room.
Winner number 1, Micah Kaltoft. Winner number 2, it's a sort of a 2-in-1 deal, John and Melissa Sutterfield. And winner number 3, Melissa Burdett.
And where are they from, Chad?
They are coming from a state of happiness and joy because they just won.
Missouri, California, and Ohio.
why can't we
And-
just leave it
and
like that?
Melissa is an Academy grad. So,
Cheers?
yeah.
Oh, that's
came from- yeah.
great.
Yeah. All right, let's get at least one question out of the chat room.
All right, here's the question. How do I find out what the local laws are regarding the use of amplification when open airing? My honest opinion on this one, I'm serious, is Google it.
Yeah. No,
Look it up on Google.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chad. The last thing you want to do is to go down to City Hall and ask them, hey, what's the ordinance so that I can open air preach the gospel? Inevitably, the person behind the desk is going to say, oh, we don't allow that here in this community. You know, they're going to lie to you because they don't. Last thing they want is for some crazy preacher out there on the streets. Most city and county ordinances are available online these days, even in the smaller communities. And if you can't find it there, you know, we often say around here it's better to ask for forgiveness and permission. Go out there and use amplification and see what happens. But you could probably find the local ordinances online.
We did it for 3 years before we were told not to.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, one more real quick.
Sure. Ray, is there any difference on how you would share with a Jewish by blood, atheist by nature, you know, the guy is, as far as the law and the gospel goes, is there any difference how you'd share with that guy and somebody else on the street?
Someone who's an atheist and a Jew?
Yeah, Jewish blood, right?
Okay.
But he says he's an atheist. Would you go about the law and the gospel the same way?
Yeah, I think I'd go about it the same way because he's just ungodly. And the scripture's not going to hold any authority with him, but appeal to his conscience, commandments. He's probably brought up as a Jew, so he may understand the Passover, so I might explain the cross, bringing the Passover into it, so it makes more sense to him.
Yeah. All right. Hey, we're about out of time. We want to thank you for joining us on today's episode of On the Box. We will be back tomorrow morning, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. And until then, be encouraged, strengthened, and unafraid. Proclaim the gospel. We'll see you tomorrow. You're full of it!
Living Waters presents On the Box.